everyone, and welcome back to the Entertainment Esquire. Today we'll be discussing celebrity arrests in the context of singer David and his first-degree murder arrest over Celeste Rivas. Let's get started. So today is a very special episode because it is a follow-up to our previous episode about singer David. A lot of people didn't know about him prior to this arrest or prior to any suspicions last year surrounding his alleged minor girlfriend who lived with him. No one really knew a lot about him unless you were already a fan of his on TikTok. He started his whole singing career on TikTok, shot to the top of Billboard records, got a record deal, came out with an album, had this whole tour, and then all of a sudden he had to pause his tour because, again, his alleged minor girlfriend was missing, and then her dead body was found in his Tesla. Now, all this happened while he was on tour. So in the beginning, some people were saying, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He wasn't even there. But as you know, you can physically not be in a place and still be aware of a murder, participate in a murder, or at a minimum be a co-conspirator to what went down. So at the time, there wasn't a lot of information. He paused his tour. He went completely silent. And then he was arrested just in the past week and had his initial arraignment hearing where he pled not guilty. And so I want to just jump into what the exact charges are and then just a brief review of the updated timeline that prosecutors have given us now. So let's first talk about the charges. So he was officially charged with first-degree murder. With special circumstances. And what are these special circumstances? Murder of a witness to an investigation and murder for financial gain and lying in wait. And so he was charged with those. That's his biggest charge, the murder with the special, first-degree murder with the special circumstances. The other thing he's charged for is lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under 14 years old, and mutilating a body. And so these are all his charges as of date. Now, let's break down these charges, okay? So first-degree murder, as you know, there has to be some sort of premeditation or planning. It can't be just like you're in an argument and it's like in the heat of the moment, right? So I think we all know what first-degree murder is. The special circumstances. So they're saying that because she was in a witness to an investigation, that investigation being her disappearance, because her parents obviously put out that she had disappeared, that is a special circumstance because there was already an investigation going on about her disappearance. And then there's this special circumstance as it relates to murdering someone for financial gain and lying in wait. So what exactly is murder for financial gain and murder regarding lying in waiting, and why they're considered aggravating special circumstances with a first-degree murder charge? Well, financial gain seems pretty obvious, right? You are murdering someone because you're going to gain something financial by it. And in this circumstance, David, shot to fame, was on his way up even further with being on the top of the Billboard charts and having a best-selling album and touring. And so prosecutors are laying out this theory that if it was known that he was having relationship with a minor child, that all of that would go away. So all that fame, all that money, beyond just being jailed, he financially would not be able to benefit from his career anymore. So that's the financial gain that the prosecutors are laying out. What they're laying out as it relates to lying in waiting. So lying in waiting is before you kill someone, you're hiding. You're monitoring, you're watching them from afar, and it's an ambush. It's like a surprise. You come out of nowhere and you kill them. And so they consider that lying in waiting, and it actually speaks to the alleged premeditation that they're charging, that if he was in fact lying in waiting, that shows that this was even more premeditated, that this didn't happen in a heat of passion, or this didn't happen by accident, that this was planned. And so that's lying in waiting, that's financial gain. We obviously already know what first degree murder is. And obviously I just explained what, murdering someone as it relates to the investigation, what investigation that was. The investigation was her disappearance. And so that leaves what they're saying is an additional charge, which is lewd and lascivious sexual acts with an individual under the age of 14. So, and we'll get to this in a second with the timeline, but at the time of her death, she was just turning 14. And prior to that, she had already been communicating and having a relationship with him, back dating all the way till the age of 12, according to the documentation that we're able to pull online with their messaging. And so he was having, again, allegedly a sexual relationship. This wasn't just like a girl that he became friends with that just so happened to run away and live at his house, and they were just friends. The songs, the video images, the live streams, everything online collectively shows that he was in a romantic relationship with her, beginning at the age of 18, turning 19, up until him being 21. And so, yes, that is actually a separate charge, even though she's no longer alive. That is a separate charge that he is facing. Now let's talk about Celeste's medical records and how she was exactly killed. Warning, this is very graphic. So the autopsy that was finally released to the public shows that she was stabbed multiple times, that her body was so decomposed that it took them months to even figure out that she was stabbed so many times, and that parts of her body were in different parts of the car. So she was decapitated. She had missing fingers. And if you know anything about true crime, or if you watched any mobster movies, you know that fingers and your head, those things are removed so that your body cannot be identified. If you're wondering why someone would go to that extent if someone is already dead. And so that was an attempt to make sure that if and whenever she was found, she wouldn't be identified. Now, I'm not sure why they kept all those items kind of close to each other in the car. You would think that they would have separated them in different places. But that is the reason behind why her body was separated the way it was. And again, the reason why it took them so long to even release this report was because her body was so badly decomposed. Now, since then, her parents have made a statement that I would like to read. Her parents said, Celeste was a beautiful and strong girl who loved to sing and dance. Every Friday night was a movie night, and we spent wonderful times together, her parents said. And so this is the statement that her parents have given so far. Now, I want to jump into an updated timeline that was revealed when the prosecutors released their charges against David, because I think it definitely goes to the evidence that will support the charges in this case. So according to them, and again, this is the updated timeline from what I have in my previous episode, on and around September 2023 and September 2024, they're saying that David committed the crime of continuous sexual abuse acts with a minor who did unlawfully engage in 3 or more acts of substantial and sexual conduct. And so essentially that is their timeline for the lewd sexual acts with someone under 14. They're saying September 23 and September 24, 2023 and 2024 is when they gauge that. And then which puts her age at actually 12, not 14, because when she was actually found around her birthday. So she was just turning 14 or just about to turn 14 when she was found. That right there shows you that she was clearly under the age of 14. If you do the math of when she was born and you look at the dates 2023 and 2024, she was no older than 12 years old at that time. So prosecutors go on to say in their charging documents that Celeste was murdered on and around April 23rd of 2025, because that was around the time that she was reported missing. And then they go on to say that on May 5th of 2025 is when the actual mutilation occurred. And you may ask, well, how do they know about when the mutilation occurred? They can tell exactly once you are deceased. They can tell you approximately when you died, down to literally a range of dates and hours. And then they can also tell based on how your body is decomposed or certain areas of damage when you were actually mutilated. So the technology is really advanced, and so this is how prosecutors were able to get these approximate dates. Now remember, she wasn't found until September 8th of 2025, which was a day after when she would have turned 15. And so she was killed as a 14-year-old, back dating it to 23, 24 of when their documents show, in their evidence show they were communicating. She was clearly only around 12. All of these things support, keep in mind, two different crimes. Because some people say, well, what if he really was on tour and he had nothing to do with this? Okay, well, maybe he didn't murder her. However, he had already committed a crime before he had gone on tour. He already was, again, allegedly having a romantic sexual relationship with a minor under 14. And so even if he was not facing murder charges, David would still indeed be facing charges. So I don't want that to get lost in this. Yes, the murder is horrific, and how she died and was mutilated after the fact was awful, but it was also awful that a girl between the ages of 12 and 14 experienced sexual abuse before dying, before even seeing her 16th birthday, her 18th birthday. She'll never graduate from school. She'll never get married. She'll never have children. Her whole life is gone because of this relationship. And some people said, well, how did they meet? Supposedly there was like a streaming service. I don't know if it was specifically Twitch, but there was a online streaming platform where they met and they could message. I know even Roblox has a lawsuit because there are issues with adults talking to minors through that platform as well. I think this is a very stern warning to keep all children under the age of 18 off these platforms where they can talk to adults in messaging rooms. There should be no reason why any child is on these platforms. Since then, David's lawyers have only made a statement. Obviously, he has not made any statements. And they said that the actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez and that he was not the cause of death. We will vigorously defend David's innocence. So some interesting trial facts that have been released to the public since his arrest. So on Monday during his hearing, the building initially had to be completely evacuated because they got a bomb threat. I kid you not. Probably a crazed man. Who knows? Allegedly. And then he also has been separated from the general population and moved to a new jail because of his horrific charges. And typically if someone is charged with crimes against women or children, they're typically hurt and or killed immediately in jail. And so I think prosecutors don't want to have blood on their hands that he was killed before his trial. And so they want to make sure he actually stands trial and he is safe until this trial occurs. So it's also in their best interest to separate him. So currently David is at a new jail and he is separated from the general population. Obviously, he hasn't said anything beyond his attorney's statement. We will keep you posted as this trial continues to develop and as more evidence is released to the public that is supporting the prosecutor's case. Keep in mind, the defense before trial does not have to release any evidence, does not have to release any support to David's defenses. He can actually wait until trial to release whatever he has to say to support his defense. And so, unfortunately, I believe that they're not going to get a very neutral jury in this case because the prosecution is going to continue to pummel in the court of public opinion all of their evidence. So by the time the jury gets to the actual trial date and they're in front of David, So much of it will probably lean towards the prosecution, and also because this is just such a horrific case. So I'm not sure how fair of a trial he'll get, whether he's guilty or not. We'll see, and you should stay tuned and definitely watch our previous episode on this particular case from our season 2. Definitely check that out. In the meantime, you can find us on our weekly YouTube show at The Entertainment Esquire, on audio platforms, all streaming platforms at The Entertainment Esquire. And of course, follow us on social media at The Entertainment ESQ. Take care, everyone. Thank you for listening to The Entertainment Esquire. Find our show on YouTube at The Entertainment Esquire and on social media at The Entertainment ESQ. Need a legal consultation? Need a lawyer referral or legal resources for your business or legal matters? Then visit us at theentertainmentesq.com. Until next time, thank you for listening.